live.
Hi and welcome to this Quantum Change Kinesiology vlog. We actually just did a whole vlog of like almost an hour long of us having a session, me doing quantum change kinesiology on a point that he was experiencing, which was a point in his elbow, like pain.
Yeah.
But we decided that that video is just way too long, so we're just going to now share in a condensed way what tested out, just to give you a little bit of an example of what a quantum change kinesiology session is like, and you know what I do as a quantum change kinesiology practitioner.
Yeah, so there is a pain in my elbow if I kind of extend it and kind of pop it. Usually it cracks if I do that, but now it seems like the joint is a bit stuck, and that's creating pain. So it's abnormal for me.
Okay, so essentially what tested out in this session? Do you want to try and give a summary or?
Well, what initially tested out was back chat regarding emotions of anger,
Hostility, criticism. That's basically.
Yeah. And those points were related to like a inferiority, right? Yeah.
Well, it was essentially like that you have imaginations in your mind about your life.
Yeah.
You know, like how you want your life to be.
Yeah.
And then within kind of trying to execute those imaginations in your life, you kind of have that friction because things are not the way that your mind wants them to be.
Yeah, or how Molly, or how I would ideally like them to be. Yeah, and within the friction, it's creating that anger and that hostility towards myself.
Yeah, so that was the first kind of, I suppose, layer of basically the programming that's connected to the elbow issue. So from there, we then went deeper and looked at, you know, what is that based on, or what is, you know, to give it more context and make it more specific. So what then tested out was the self-sabotage point. So that was basically that this whole design of having the imaginations on the one hand and the anger on the other hand is actually like a self-sabotage mechanism wherein you are in a way deliberately kind of keeping yourself occupied in your mind to distract yourself from another point in your mind that you're not actually wanting to look at.
Yeah, which tested out as memories. Two memories. One regarding violence, the other one regarding sexuality. And yeah, I was judging myself or judging things within those memories. I was using the anger to ignore my own judgments of myself within the memories and the memories themselves.
Well,
my goodness, right? No.
Well, yeah, there's more to it, but it's normal to not grasp it immediately because it's kind of like a complex design. So that's why also we do suggest to have multiple sessions, because in a first session we basically map out all the information, so you'll have all the components of how something fits together, and then in the follow-up sessions we basically walk through that information step by step to actually integrate everything and make the change real. So basically the point with you was that the memories were connected with certain emotional experiences of feeling ashamed and sad and guilty and
depressed.
And it's those emotions that you in a way learn to cope with by going into that self-sabotage mechanism. So it's like your reaction to those emotions.
Yeah.
So And those emotions themselves were actually coming from the fact that you are judging the memories, like you're judging the violence in the memories and the sexuality in the memories, and through that judgment you create or hold on to the emotions
Yeah.
of guilt and shame.
And sadness, depression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the actual issue for him to work with within all of this, which granted is a lot of information if you're watching this video and you're like, what the hell was all of that? You know, that's basically like all the information that tests out in a session, and you know, that's the information that you'll be working with step by step. So it might seem overwhelming at first, but once you start walking that process of integrating the information, then it gets a lot more clear and understandable. So basically for Paul here, the issue, the core issue to work with was your own judgment of
the guilt, the shame,
of the
memories,
the violence and the sexuality in the memories.
Yeah, but also to look at the guilt, the shame, the depression.
Yeah, which is what you create through judgment.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it'll just like take you a little bit of time to kind of walk through that first layer of releasing your judgment of your memories, and then also walking through the second layer that you've created, which is the self-sabotage, which is where you actually create this whole system in your mind where you just kind of preoccupy yourself.
Yeah.
You know, going from the imaginations to the anger, back and forth.
Just to avoid the judgments.
Yeah. So so in the rest of the session, usually the second part of the session is then to find solutions, you know, to start changing this kind of point more practical and realistic.
But at that moment, the video was already like an hour long. So.
Yeah, we didn't even cover that.
Yep.
But so in your case, that would be where we then look at, you know, how can you start practically in your everyday life, start pinpointing and becoming aware of you going into self-sabotage, as well as finding the source point. So rather than losing yourself or losing your self-awareness in the self-sabotage, you actually bring your awareness to the actual real issue, which is that realization of, hey, you know, it's not about these imaginations or the anger, it's about me reacting to my own memories.
Yeah.
So that is where you then start to actually change these issues. Yeah. Okay. So that's just about covers, you know, the entirety of a session and what I do in a session with a client, the kind of information that tests out, which can be pretty vast, but it's all very specific and made very practical for you to work with and start to really change these types of issues connected with physical points.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Enjoy.
Bye.